Hello everyone. I wanted to make a video commenting about the mass shooting that occurred in Buffalo, New York a few days ago, and how once again in the US, almost every day we're dealing with gun violence, and unfortunately increasingly racially motivated gun violence. This is reprehensible, terrible situations that, frankly, we're the only country that deals with this. In New Mexico, this year alone, we've had several incidences, two specifically that were targeting Asian Americans, and no solutions yet from our elected leaders. As a paramedic, I have seen the effects of gun violence firsthand. I know the terrible injuries it causes on people. And I just wanted to offer a couple ideas on how we can try to stem this gun violence. And a lot of the people who defend guns like to focus on the last part of the Second Amendment, the shall not be infringed part. But they ignore the first part of the Second Amendment that says well-regulated militia. And if we're going to consider that the people are a militia, well, it makes sense that they need to be well-regulated. And to be clear, this is not an advocation of confiscation. No matter how many times you say that, they're not going to hear it anyway. But my idea isn't to confiscate guns. But I do have two ideas that I think will help stem gun violence. The first idea is that guns used in crimes started as legal guns. They're made in a factory, they're sold to dealers, they're sold to people. People sell between each other. And at some point, a gun finds its way into the hands of someone who commits a crime or hurts people. Well, how do you prevent that? You know, that's a very difficult question. One idea is that a gun should be tied to someone. Someone should be responsible financially for that weapon the moment it leaves the factory. From the factory to the dealer, then when the dealer sells it to a person, then that person is responsible. And if that financial liability isn't carried over, and then a gun hurts someone, then we look to who is last responsible. And then we say, hey, who did you sell this gun to? Why didn't you take the appropriate steps to make sure this person wasn't, going to do something horrible with it? And if they follow appropriate steps, like, hey, they took over financial responsibility when I sold it to them, that would be an example of responsible gun ownership. But to people who don't secure their weapons, or to those who sell them to questionable individuals, if they have to worry about being financially responsible for the people they sell them to, they might think twice about who they're selling them to. So that's one idea. A second idea might require more federal involvement. Traditionally, buybacks have not been successful simply because gun stores and individuals will set up their own buybacks across the street from when the police department does a buyback, and they'll offer more money. And some people will bring ridiculous homemade devices that are no more than a couple pipes and with some triggering mechanism, and call it a gun, and then use it to cheat the government out of money. So the second idea is we need to catalog the fair market value of all weapons. And that might be something that the ATF might have to do. We could probably do something on a state level. But then we publish that fair market value for all weapons. And then the state, either New Mexico or the federal government, will offer double the fair market value for any weapon. If at any point you want to, get rid of a gun, take it to a police station, say I'm surrendering this under the buyback program, and if the fair market value of that gun is $500, you get $1,000. And then if gun manufacturers say, well, we're going to up the price of these guns, well, then the government ups the price of the guns as well. And at some point, they'll have to find a balance. People will stop buying that certain gun if it gets too expensive, but then the government will always buy it back at double. This would then de-incentivize people who steal guns to use them for crime. In my opinion, if someone does commit a burglary in a car or a home and they find a weapon, and then they have a choice. They can surrender it for cash or commit a crime. But what's more likely to get them hurt or in trouble? Guaranteed cash or committing a crime? Those might not be the best ideas, but I think those are two ideas that have not been considered so far. And if elected, I would pursue those ideas to encourage responsible gun ownership and encourage enforcement of the first part of the Second Amendment, well regulated. Thank you.